So we should be live. What's up, everyone? We're getting ready to go live. I'm going to do a quick little camera switch, and I'm sitting here with JM, everyone. But let me see if I have this right. So if I'm doing it right, Carl, if you're watching this, I'm gonna try your little intro here. Let's check it out.
Want to rise above what holds you back? These are the stories of those fighting that battle. It might also be the story of you. I'm Dan Waldschmidt, author of Edgy Conversation and strategist of billion-dollar companies all over the world. This is Mark Menard, author of The Story of You, the guy who knows a thing or two about never giving up. You're listening to Elevating Beyond. Let's get started.
Hey, what is up, everyone? This is actually the first time I've done that with the intro live. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. But look, welcome back to Elevating Beyond with a 2-word mission statement: change lives. And I'm going to switch the camera shot up to those of you that are watching. I only have like 4 buttons I have to press, by the way. My man Carl set me up, simplified it. He's like, you got 4 buttons to hit. Don't screw it up. Hit those 4. So I'm going to boot. I screwed it up. That was supposed to go widescreen to us, by the way. So, hey, what's up, everyone? All right, we are on widescreen now. So I am sitting here next to me with my guest, JM Ryerson. And those of you that can see on camera, that are watching live stream, best-selling author of Let's Go Win, The Keys to Living Your Best Life. And I could go on and on with JM's bio. I mean, he's built multiple financial companies. We're going to get into those stories behind the story. Works for leadership with Keller Williams and so much more. But listen, first of all, how are you doing, my good man?
Brother, I am having a great day. This studio is pretty cool. And I love, my favorite part so far, you and I sat and chatted, and every time we get together, we talk and we talk and we talk. We're like, man, we should have filmed that. That was really good. And so we kept talking, and it's like, we should probably start filming because there's so much fun, interesting conversation. But the reason why is there's no show with you. That's what I love. It's just you being authentic. And it's a rarity in this world to have somebody that comfortable in their own skin. So this is going to be awesome. Great setup, brother, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And what's funny is we met, we were talking, we live in, this has been a crazy transition. So I'm in Boca Raton, Florida now, everyone. I'm not in New Albany, Ohio anymore. And this is like, I think, the 3rd show. But yeah, since moving here. But I think you're the first official. I had Carl on when he was working with me, but guest in person, and we live in the same neighborhood. I'm not going to give I'll give your personal address. Everyone can come visit him. Send them letters where they cut the letters out of your name. And but no, we live together in the same neighborhood. And what is crazy with us talking and meeting is, this is the first place, you've been here longer than me, that I've ever lived where every other person that I talk to, I'm used to being like the alien of like, wait, you have a business, you have a book, you have a pod, you have, and people are polite, but they're like, they look at me, and here, like every other person I talk to is like, oh yeah, I started this company. I'm the founder of this. My son's friend, his dad's like, oh yeah, I have a travel show. I'm taking 70 people to go see the Egyptian pyramids, and I study the Scientology of the magnetism of the, and I'm a music producer, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just doing my studio. And he's like, oh yeah, I have a studio in my house. Oh, and my own TV network. And I love it because, sorry, I just spit on you.
You're
right there.
good, brother.
We'll keep that on air. But you see how excited I get about it? I love it because it's like the first time where I feel like I'm just not like the alien, and I'm surrounded by people that are like-minded like you and doing different things. And I'm able to just have you from up the street, like I feel like I could pull like 100 great guests just from our neighborhood.
And we can. That's what's wild. You know what's so cool about that, though? And I've felt the same way you have, where people, they don't understand. Or it's like, why? Why do you do that? You can't do that. I love that one, by the way. You can't do that.
Oh,
That's
a whole episode in
favorite,
itself.
brother. But we all want to be able to relate to someone, right? So when somebody loves doing this, podcasting, which I'm obsessed with, I get excited because you and I can talk about this camera setup, these mics. And for some people, it's like, that's boring. But to us, it's really exciting. And the other thing is just leveling up. I feel like I'm constantly being pushed by all these amazing human beings. I think we just really got lucky with our neighborhood. I really do, because I've met amazing human beings again and again and again. And what's fascinating,
Me too.
yeah, what's fascinating for me, brother, we came from California and we had a huge, like, acre and a half, which, again, I'm a kid from Montana. It's like I'm used to land. I move here and I have a postage stamp for a yard.
We had land in Ohio. We were in like a nice neighborhood. We didn't start there. Long story of how we got, but had a huge yard. Not that it's not beautiful here. We have
Right.
the clubhouse, but it's different than when you're used to having that land.
So I thought I was going to hate it. I thought I was going to be like, dude, this sucks. I want land. I love it because it has forced us 100% to be around other human beings. We have to meet other people, but I love it. And so it is fascinating what you think you want versus when you get put into a different scenario, it's change, right? And
Big change.
yeah, but it's been amazing. We've embraced it and I love it.
And the change of, it's been a process, man. Like moving here
Yep.
and what I was talking to my wife is, what's kind of cool is, since it's a new build area, so many people here are all new from new areas, and a lot of people are getting to know everyone. They haven't already, and I don't know if that's what's maybe brought in more of like the entrepreneurial, probably a combination of things that we can get into, but you know, change is never easy. It's been like, for us, we went through in the midst of COVID, like selling our house in Ohio. I have my company Dream Shine there. That's been a long transition. Coming here, then while we were selling, we rented. And this show's not about me. I'm just trying to share like some of it took a lot of faith, like putting a deposit on this while our house hadn't sold yet, knowing everything was going crazy fast, but something about this area and this neighborhood. And on the flip side, I was also like, God, I hope there's not a I don't have a better word for it, everyone. I try to keep it clean, but like bunch of like prick stuck up douchebags.
Right.
And that's kind of what I was expecting. And there's always some, but I thought that was going to be like 90%. But I told my wife, I'm like, that's fine, because we always find those 1%, and I'll say hi, I'll say bye, I'll be nice, but you always can find good people no matter where you are. You can create your own environment. But it's been the opposite. I would say like 80% of people that I've met so far have been more like you and I, just sitting back and humble and successful.
And I don't mean to cut you off, other than, brother, you're attracting that. I truly believe that. The other people you're talking about, the stuck, they're here.
Of course.
But you bring into your life what you attract. Now, I have for years coached people on change. No one likes change. Here's what I've gone to, brother. You just upgrade. If you go to the airport and they're like, hey, Mr. Menard, we're going to go ahead and put you into first class. Are you excited or are you mad?
I'm excited, especially with you and I are both tall.
Yeah.
I need that leg space, man.
So I'm excited too. That's an upgrade. You change your seats. It's the same thing, but you just upgrade. And so the whole idea is changing your perception of saying, I'm just upgrading. It's not that you didn't love New Albany. It's not that I didn't love California. This is just a different season of life.
See, perfect word. Season.
Yeah, and so you upgraded yourself. And here's the deal. When you're uncomfortable, because all this disheveled stuff, I know it's not comfortable, but you're growing. And that's what's so cool, guys. When you are uncomfortable, you're growing. And that's what is constant in our, at least in my daily life. I assume it's similar for you. It's uncomfortable situations. You have to meet new people. It's not comfortable. So you continue to grow.
And you know, something that's interesting about what you said before too is you see people that challenge to level you up. And I say this in the right way. Like, look, this is going to be a clip. That keeping up with the Joneses is the right thing to do. Now, listen, here's why. Don't get me. You're going to think I'm saying what you think I'm saying, but I'm not. Anyone that knows me knows I'm not. Not for the reasons of materialism or anything like that, but that's part of it. When the Joneses are people that are doing greater things with their life and having that significant success in their business and in their marriage, in their health, and hey, they were able to win and build their business and get this dream yacht. I'm not looking at that as a way like, oh, I've got to go bankrupt, I have to have a yacht. I'm looking at that as like, whoa, like how were you able to do, and you have a great marriage, and you're a great dad or mom, and you're a member of your community, you're an amazing leader, people look up to you. Those are the type of people that you want to be forced to raise the bar, you know, and be around. And just by seeing it, I don't look at it like every day, like, oh, why don't I have that? Why me? I look at that as like, whoa, like that inspires me.
Because you want to learn, brother. I mean, look, I'm looking at your floor, if you will. If you know, when you have your library, it's all about learning. It's all about growth. So you're not intimidated by somebody having, again, who cares about the material things other than you know they've probably reached X amount of success.
Right.
And so that doesn't intimidate you. There's no insecurity with you. Like I said at the start of the show, you're completely okay being you, and you want to learn. That's why. The reason people get offended or insecure around those people is because you are starting to feel a certain way. They're not doing anything wrong.
You're insecure.
100%, brother. When people,
so like ego. Or sorry, go ahead.
No.
Maybe not even ego. Maybe just maybe a lot of things.
Oh, there's so many things into that. You got your hardwires. You got your relationship with money going. You have your ego. And why don't I have? And if you can look at it differently and say, what can I learn from this person? Even if they are the stuck-up douchebag that you talked about.
They might have. I always say wisdom, even Hitler, which this isn't going to sound, this isn't a good, this is probably the worst analogy I've ever used. Hitler has some type of wisdom of, look, he's someone that had an evil vision, but there's something to learn about hey, instead of how could you murder and do genocide, how can I help and save 1 billion people? You know, if you flip it. But there is something to learn even from the bad examples of people too.
I'm going to fall on the grenade with you. 100% you can learn from Hitler. He's one of the greatest leaders of all time. Awful.
Right.
Horrible. But leadership is influence, right? That's John Maxwell, one of the really in our era, he is the leadership guru. And he says leadership is influence. How much influence did Hitler have? A remarkable amount. I'm not saying to be like, oh, obviously morally corrupt.
This show just got canceled. We're live on Facebook. Look, are we still live?
I don't know.
That would be hilarious if that would piss me off, actually. Sorry to cut you off. For some reason, I just thought, Zuckerberg, come on, brother, man, you better not, don't mess with this. But sorry, go ahead.
No, but the whole point is like, look, take away the bad. Don't be an evil jerk like he was.
Right.
Learn from some of the good and that's the deal. if you look at the context of what somebody's providing, not the human being itself, but what they are saying, how they've accomplished this, there's always something to be learned. Now, that requires putting your ego to the side and saying, hey, ego, let's squash you a little bit. I want to learn. I'm not saying go hang out. If he was alive, I wouldn't have a beer with the guy. Like,
Right.
right? But there's something to be learned from him.
Yeah. And it's also learning how not to do things. I learned a lot of leadership as I was coming out of school, and that's a whole story, and working for places that gossiped all the time. That's why we have a no gossip policy, that you would go up to the head leader and they would never problem solve or resolve conflict in a healthy way. They would just continue to gossip. So the whole place was infected. Then you're only led to gossip when you have no one in leadership to go to that you trust. But I learned from those. I remember taking a note, not even knowing I was going to have my own company one day. But I was like, when I'm in a leadership position, I remember like mental note, don't do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to remember what it was like to be working for a place that was like that. So I learned by also seeing what not to do.
1,000%, brother. Look, and that behavior is all what you tolerate into your world. Like, I have a very similar rule, no drama policy. That's the deal. And I ask the question all the time, are you about to do drama? Oh, you are? We're not going to talk about this. Or if you you want to continue, you're just not welcome on the team. It's not a personal thing. I just don't have time for drama, because that is not helping, give back to the world, make it it's not helping grow. It's not fertile soil. Now you're talking about toxicity.
It's contagious, and I'm going to take drama is infectious to any healthy unity of any organization or mission. And when you have unity, which you have to fight for unity, it doesn't happen organically. You have to fight to keep away the drama. You have to have those conversations. When you don't, you become mediocre. And when you have unity, you get that momentum. Like, you can get more done with less unified people than with more people that aren't unified. And when you've got the gossip and the drama and you don't hit that stuff head on, because it's going to happen. I just had him. I love this because I talk it, I speak it, but I'm in the trenches. I just had my meeting with my head director last week. We've had a no gossip policy. We ran into it within our company. I was coaching on her on handling it. I called delegating. She met with a team. They went over, one addressed it, and it's like a breath of fresh air, and everyone's on the same page. It doesn't always go that way. Sometimes some people won't be on the same page. They'll get mad, and like you said, it's like, cool, I love you, but the drama and the gossip, nope, we're not having it here. So you want to keep doing that, you can't be here. But I've learned by keeping that on, too many places do, it will tear a place down, or worse, gradually make it mediocre.
100%. Well, you talked about momentum. You want to crush momentum? Talk drama. Go to any great sports team and watch when drama was involved, the great teams would cut them. So, like, Antonio Brown would be an example. Look, guy was drama. Guess what Tampa Bay did? They cut him. They're like, no, we're trying to win a Super Bowl.
No matter how skilled you are.
No question.
No matter, because listen, everyone, you can be I don't care if you're the best, the highest salesman.
Yep.
It's not, these aren't easy decisions to make. I want to be like really real about this as a leader, as an owner, to be, like in your head, you're like, man, but that's my all-star player. They're making the most, like it, but it takes more courage, but that unity kills skill. Like, drama I don't care how skilled you are. If you're drama, you're contagious. It outweighs it to the worse.
It 100% does. And this is why I start every meeting with wins. Now, I have to give credit where credit's due. Michael Hyatt came up with AEIO. A is for achievements, E is for expectations, I is for issues, and O is for outcomes. That's how I run every single meeting. Why do you start with wins or achievements? I call them wins, but A is for achievements, because that creates momentum. It is the opposite. Most meetings, people come in and they start to talk, and then you get right into issues, or let me bitch about whatever's going on. You can get to the issues.
Right.
But here's the other thing. Come to me with an issue, you also better have a solution behind it. And if you don't, I'm not going to sit down and talk about it. Why would you come with just problems and not potential solutions? That is drama. That is literally the definition of drama in my world.
And we're so much on the same page. I'm not even going to say it's crazy. I'm not surprised, because when we use the word great leadership, that's more, to go back to Hitler real quick. However we want to define the word great, I would say Hitler was one of the most, he got the highest results.
Yep.
But I wouldn't call, as far as great goes, I try to maybe tie that word with respect and character or significant. So if we're putting that with leadership, look, there's correlations that you continue to see in great, good leaders of good character. And it's stuff just like what you're talking about. And you also teach people what you're doing there is part of delegating the right way, where people come in with their, because they have to bring, but you're actually teaching them. The most important thing is how to be a critical problem solver without you having to do it all. And that helps the company and the business to grow, because people think with delegating, it's just about tasks, but they don't think about, your mindset. But there's a process with that, where the first time someone's starting, they're new with you, you're going to talk to them a little more and kind of teach them, here's how, and here's why. But then they can come in more, and maybe this isn't exactly, but I'm sure, I'm just curious. But then at a point when they come in, and to be honest, it can be hard when you already know what to do.
Of course.
I just want to do it myself. It's good. But when you invest more of that time into the person, then you're going to get more of that time back. But it's a process. Walk us through that a little bit.
Well, it takes security in yourself. Here's why. You're right. You could do that. You could do whatever task that you're talking about. But if you not only delegate, but if you empower someone to do it, here's what's crazy. Most of the time, if you empower whomever this person is, they'll probably do it better than you.
Right.
And if you're comfortable with that, why wouldn't you be? All you want as a result, as a leader, I want the best result. I don't care who does it.
Right. I don't need the credit. Please do it. Look, sorry, go ahead.
No, brother, you're on track. It's exactly right. Who cares who gets the credit? And I can't remember who the president was. It was, I think, one of the Roosevelts that said, it's amazing what can get accomplished if no one cares who gets the credit. And when you think about that,
right,
it's just ego that gets in the way. It's when people are like, I did that. Well, now I've hurt Mark's feelings, because if Mark and I did that together, he's like, no, dude, I was part of that too. Now his ego's hurting. And that's the whole challenge. So this whole delegation empowerment thing, I'm telling you, brother, if you are comfortable enough and can let go of control and say, here's what I want done, and they will actually typically find a better way to do it. I'm going to give you a really quick example if I can.
Of course.
We're doing something at Keller Williams right now, or at least in my office, and it's called reverse mentoring. Now, if you've had somebody that's done real estate for, let's say, 30 years, they've accumulated a lot of knowledge. But I have, let's say, a 25-year-old kid walk through the door with zero real estate experience. I could argue that the kid has more from a mentor perspective to give that 30-year-old vet than the vet has to him. And here's why. The world's changed. So the 30-year-old vet has all this knowledge, and guess what? This 25-year-old kid can say, let's do this on social media. Let's set up this system. And so there's value going both ways, but you have to look at it differently. For so long, when people say mentor, it's the person with the most experience that, can tell you all this stuff. But you even did it. You brought a guy in that's a 30-year-old that's like crushing it on YouTube. He's certainly younger than I am, and I could learn so much from this person.
Me, Kevin. Yeah, absolutely. But there's stuff he can learn from us about like marriage and other things where we've had more experience. Or I was talking to him about how to fire people, because he's killed it on YouTube. But he's building a team more. So then I'm able to be like, oh, no, I've dealt with that. Look, like what we were just talking about with gossip. You've got to weed that out. But it's so that's totally new to him. Now, how do you get like 1 million plus subscribers on YouTube? And he made 20 million. He grinds, man. I respect 20 million on YouTube from affiliate links and ad revenue. Last year, that was the highest. It was higher during the pandemic, but I mean, and he's doing real estate. He's doing his own. But that's an example of someone like he started. You talk about Keller Williams. He started being a real estate agent like right when he was 18, when the recession hit, and everyone's like, again, you can't be a realtor right now. They were saying. Just like what the circumstances we're seeing in the economy right now, everyone's like, you shouldn't be doing anything. You shouldn't be having a dream. You should just be playing it safe. Okay, well, keep doing that, because I've had Democrats in office, Republicans, and throughout my years of running my company, neither one of them came in and worked the 90-hour weeks for me ever. Like, I didn't even I just focused on what I could do, what I could control. And the more you get caught up in that, it drags you away. But he came in with a different mindset of, okay, I'm going to outwork everyone. Okay, I'm going to find these houses that are harder to sell, have higher value. I'm going to he took his clients, he would find a way, if they were to take them on a boat taxi, he'd rent the boat, have like champagne. Whether they were buying like $100,000 house or a $3 million, he over-delivered, became one of the highest like salesmen at that time in real estate.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about the rabbit hole we're going down, it's information, right? There's you can learn from everyone. The homeless guy down the street, I can learn so much from that person because of their life experience. Now, to your point before, there's some decisions that were made that maybe you don't want to follow. Right. But it doesn't mean that there's not a ton of value that this human being can provide. It's how you choose to interpret it. And that goes back to, again, the stuck-up neighbor. I don't have to be buddies with them, but I can still learn from them. And so I think that's what the overall theme of what we're talking about is: look at the message, learn from it, go apply it and make it in a positive way. Right. And forget all the other stuff. And I'll give you a quick story with my dad. As parents, we're trying to protect our kids, right? Sure. You want what's best for them. And so when I first became a 1099, where I had no salary, the conversation went like this: "Hey, Dad, I got a new job." And he's like, "Oh, awesome, son. Tell me about it. Well, what's the salary?" And I was like, "Oh, no, there's no salary, Dad." He's like, "Well, my goodness, the benefits must be incredible." And I'm like, "Yeah, Dad, there's no benefits." And my dad didn't cuss. And he's like, "What the F are you doing?" Right. And the whole point of that is my dad was scared for what the world I was coming, because it was foreign to him. It was. Right? He worked at the same company for 35 years. Right. And that's great. That was his path. Absolutely. But I guess what was such a important learning lesson in that was his insecurities for me. Right. He wanted to protect his son, where I was like, "No, Dad, I got it." Yeah. And so it's just, it is interesting what information that you can. So I got it. Thanks, Dad. I appreciate the protection. Right. Right. And here's the other thing: he did exactly what I needed him to do, whether he realized it or not. He said, "You can't." Right. Tell me something I can't do. That's the first thing I'm going to go do. That motivates me more. Yes. But and you can't let that ever, if you're not like obsessed and focused and something like that
is going to stop you, then throw in the towel. I always say never give up, but if that's going to stop you, then you're not going to make it because it's going to get way harder.
Way harder.
So, and you can't waste all your energy trying to convince everyone of what may logically look insane to other people. Like this vision you have in your head that's given to you, that is a vision, like basically like a hallucination, something that hasn't even been created yet. And some people want everyone to validate it because you want to feel safe, but they're not going to. And you have to be okay with that and try to understand they're loving you. They're trying to do it out of love. Maybe some people are trying to do it out of hate. That's a whole other conversation. I've never met a hater that was doing better than me.
Right.
But either way, like I went through similar stuff, but it doesn't help to just keep arguing every day. But eventually they'll see it through your actions, whether it takes 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. They may see you living in your car for a while. Mm-hmm. Like I had a friend that built a $20 million company, sleeping in the car at the gym. Took years to build this huge company, but over time they'll see it when you do it through your actions.
Well, and I mean, we've seen countless examples of this. Look at Elon Musk when he talked about what Tesla is now. He was crazy. SpaceX, crazy. Steve Jobs and having these iPods and now the iPhones, and he was crazy. Like that's the point, is that they were visionaries. They were clear on what they wanted.
Right.
If you come up with something, let's say you go to sleep tonight and you dream something up, it would be crazy if everybody's like, yeah, Mark, that's amazing.
Right.
No, it's new. And again, the other thing we've talked about is change. That's new. That's foreign. It's different. And all it really is they've upgraded the world. The iPhone, you could argue there's merits of maybe it's not all positive.
Of course, but nothing is.
Correct. But they have brought our world, at least from a communication standpoint. I know your wife is originally from Africa.
Right.
There is way more opportunity now for so many of those countries over there where they can actually have access to things that they couldn't before. Technology has allowed for that.
Absolutely.
And so that's that. And again, people can't see that and be like, oh, that makes total sense. We're going to create 5G. What was 5G? What was a cell phone like before I don't know, it's probably 80s, but it didn't exist. And now we have these computers in our pockets. But that was a crazy idea back in 1960.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this whole room was a computer.
I was just going to say, we're in a studio in my house that there's no way you could have done this before without technology, streaming, recording, without having to have a full studio with a glass that would be so crazy expensive to go and build and start without actually being on like a radio station and paying. Like my good man, Dave Ramsey, I was talking about, he had to work started like the night shift on a radio, like AM station just to get airtime.
Yeah.
Like technology's allowed us to do that. And we're here, we're both passionate about sharing, helping people, giving, having stuff out there that's timeless. That's a huge part of it too. And something that you mentioned before the show, I wanted to make sure I didn't forget this, was about the culture. Like, because you've had your companies, you have companies, and you're also now doing stuff like we're talking about with leadership for Keller Williams, through another connection through our neighbor.
Yep.
Are we allowed to say?
Yeah, John Claddy, man, he's a badass.
Well, actually, John, we'll have to meet. I'll plan on having you on in the future. Then John reports directly to the CEO of Keller Williams, who is what's correct?
Gary Keller.
Gary Keller, who has some amazing books out there.
He does.
Has done so much. But then when you come and you work for a company like that, pre-show, you were like, man, Mark, like it's so well run. And I'm like, wait, let's save this for the show. Because I knew we would talk. I know me. So now we're saving it for the show. And I'm really curious. Listen, I don't know anything about. So from seeing that, and listen, you're pickier when you come in from building your own business and seeing what it is and what it takes to build it from the ground up.
No doubt. And, John recruited me over a year ago. And I was like, John, I've run my own companies for 20 years, brother. I'm not going to go to work with, I'm consulting companies. And he's like, JM, you are so what they call Kellerized. And what he meant is the what I believe in, my cultural values, what that book represents, what Let's Go Win the company represents. There's so much synergy and similarities with what Keller Williams is. Now, what's fascinating about this company is it is the most growth-minded company I've ever been around. And I have to say, I think Let's Go Win is growth. It's phenomenal, brother. I mean, it is nonstop. How can we get better? How can we learn? Who can we learn from? Bringing in amazing speakers. Here's the training. This guy is such a visionary, Gary Keller, and they absolutely look up to this guy. When I say they, the real estate industry in general. He got on stage not too long ago and said, we are a technology firm. And everybody's like, what are you talking about?
Whoa,
You're the biggest
really?
real estate company in the world. And he's like, no, we're not. We're a technology company. He just thinks differently. And here's a guy that literally started.
Visionary.
Oh, man, such a visionary.
Go ahead, started with.
No, he started, back in, I think it was 1983 or 84, and has built from this one dude to the biggest real estate company in the world. And he didn't do it because he followed the norm.
Right.
He created systems that were outlandish and things that people disagreed with. And it was all in the pursuit of helping connect the dreamer to the dream. And now the vision of the company is to where entrepreneurs come to thrive. Well, I feel I'm an entrepreneur.
Oh, that's how they got you.
100%.
So interesting.
So I continue to build Let's Go Win while I'm in leadership at Keller Williams. And now I get to bring so much of what I'm doing to this group of people. And it's all just helping people get better. It's fascinating.
Wow. No, it's so fascinating because there's so many, listen, you always have to be continually innovating to elevate within your company. That's another, people will have success and then they'll plateau because they'll think that for several reasons. Maybe they get stuck in their ways, maybe they get tired, whatever it may be. But what worked before, and I always separate this out. I'm not talking about core values.
Right.
Good core values, you should not ever change those. We have the no gossip policy. We have the golden rule, do unto others as you would have done unto you. That things we don't make decisions based on fear. Our core values never change, but your policies and your procedures, people that worship those,
yep.
When we were talking about government, then you become a freaking bureaucracy, which, by the way, is happening right now. Let's keep raising interest rates because this worked 20 years ago. We said we're going to keep raising them. And people are like, well, you can't pivot now. You'll look bad. Okay, look like a freaking idiot and do what's right. And you're going to be, and the country wants that. The organization wants that. Instead of having your stupid ego and doing what's wrong for your whole company, your whole organization. And when it comes to those harder decisions, I've been taught to ask, not what's best for Mark, not what's best for my team, not what's best for Dream Shine.
Yeah.
And I have to look at it as a whole. So in that situation, what is best for the United States? Me looking smart and great, or changing this strategy? And that's a whole other, it's really not a whole other conversation. It's all leadership. That's bad leadership. It's very bad. It sucks.
No,
And people look at that as a role, but good leadership doesn't mean that he hasn't made millions of mistakes along the way. But
I guarantee it.
right. So and you talk, everyone, you're going to have to check out JM's book. I've been listening to it on Audible too. Let's Go Win. But I love how you get into you're so much about the authenticity. And I'm really curious to see, what have you noticed from the levels of authenticity? because you were recruited from John, who works directly like with Gary Williams. So you're seeing it also at much higher levels than a lot of people, that are starting to work there and have seen it. So you're able to see, okay, yeah, they teach that. That's part of it. But am I seeing that through the actions at the other levels? Am I seeing that authenticity?
Yeah, I mean, you do. You see it in some leaders and you don't in others. And that all comes down with them being comfortable in their own skin, right? The reason I talk so much about authenticity, vulnerability, I have a whole program called Show Up As You, because, and I say in the book, masks are meant for parties, man. They're not meant for real life. And I lived in a way where I wasn't my authentic self for years because I thought I had to look a certain way, I had to sound a certain way. And the truth is, that's all BS. Look, there's only one me. I almost went third person, which I never do.
I've done it before.
But there's only one me, right? And that 5-year-old, I got to do it. 5-year-old JM, there was no limitations. I could do anything.
Yeah.
But then along the line, the world kind of kicked you, hit you, and then you started believing that you couldn't do anything.
Right.
And when you peel all that stuff away and you find that 5-year-old you again, that pure, innocent, just good. It's goodness, right?
And wonder.
Yeah,
like
wonder.
Sense of wonder.
100%.
Curiosity.
Nothing can stop you at that point, and it's such a freeing experience. And so that's, for me, why I talk so much about it, because I've experienced the weight coming off, right?
Yeah.
Like, if we were doing this show 20 years ago, I would have come in, suit and tie, and I would have been all buttoned up, and I would have made sure I said exactly the script, and it would have been a very average show.
I wouldn't have aired the interview.
You probably would.
It would have been live streamed probably. No, I've had a very few like that. I out of respect for people's times and stuff, but when I'm sure we still would have got some good stuff. But so here's what's fascinating about what JM is saying. I'll refer to you in what would it be? The fourth person?
Either way, saying. At least you get to say it.
But third person makes sense when you're using those analogies. But you'll find yourself saying some funny stuff over the more and more shows you do. Again, authenticity. And here's what I like to tell everyone. It's always a work in progress because people see us here and they'll see me speaking at like events and they're like, yeah, Mark, but you talk about you battled all this anxiety and self-doubt and dropping speech class and being nervous, but now you don't. So you can't. And I'm like, dude, an hour before I got up here last night in my head, you can't do that. And this is being authentic.
Nope.
Because I feel like you're not helping anyone by, there's times you need to use your judgment and be overly confident when you're leading your team through a certain situation when you can't come in and be like, oh my God, when you really don't know it, you got to be the one. That's not being fake. That's being a leader. Then you can fill people in as you need to, but also to be authentic and be real and let people know, like they'll connect, like, wait, you got nervous before you came out? You felt like, you still feel like you're going to puke? You still, yeah. Like I still fight it all the time. I just don't let it stop me.
So it's funny. I'm looking at your notes. I don't know what this is, but its first word is inner dialogue. Now,
these are notes I made from your book and from us talking. Yeah.
So one of the things I say in there is your inner dialogue is a jerk, because it is. Like,
right.
We have 40 to 50,000 thoughts go through our head. Not all of them are positive, right? And so that inner dialogue will say, you can't do this. You suck. You're blah, blah, blah. It's what you choose to listen to, right?
Right.
And so that's the whole deal. Is like, everybody has this stuff going on. Anybody that's like, no, my inner dialogue's always like, you're amazing, you're awesome. No, it's not true.
It's like a muscle. You have to work on it like a muscle.
Oh, brother, I love this. Yes. And it takes courage. And courage is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger you get.
Right. It's a skill. This isn't talked about enough. Like, you're working on your inner dialogue. This is why I hate school and stuff, is these are things like there should be a freaking call. I went to school. I got my BS in psychology. They didn't teach, let's do all these assessments. Here's a course on how to work with inner dialogue. Guess what? We're all create. What about when you start having conversations with that inner, you got 3 different voices. So you're 4 people and I start talk. Maybe I can't do it. Like I'm having an inner with whatever this freaking random thing coming, then out of nowhere something will come. Remember from 20 years ago when blah, that has nothing to do with it. And I'll catch myself, but the reason it's a skill is I'll catch myself.
Yep.
I'm not going to say it doesn't happen, because it does.
No, it's mindfulness,
but
brother.
I'll catch it, and then I'll be like, whoa, okay. Then I'll have to say, I will intentionally say stuff like I'm prosperous, I'm courageous, I am success. I read that in, it was either Napoleon's Think and Grow, like years ago, and it's never... I'll just keep repeating that, like in my head, to just help outweigh that other voice.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I'll learn to let it go. But I'm constantly having to work. Like it doesn't. I'd love to hear some tips on what you do when this stuff comes up.
Well, so you said a bunch there that I love. You've never arrived. If you ever think you have, you've lost. We have never arrived, right? I don't care how much I meditate. I don't care how much I do my own affirmations. It's always going to be a process. So I 1,000% have what you do. My kids, I'll give you an example. My 2 boys have said the exact same mantra or affirmation every single night before they go to bed. And here's why. The world is going to tell them they're not smart, they're not good looking, they're not confident. And so years ago, I developed this right when TJ was a baby, and he's 16 now. I developed way too long of an affirmation, but I ask him every night. I say, so are you a leader? And they say, yes. And I say, why? And they say, I'm confident, I'm strong, I'm intelligent, I'm athletic, I'm good looking, I'm dynamic, I'm popular, talented, independent boy with a growth mindset. Now, if I could rewind it, I would make it like I'm confident, powerful, and strong. Like something simple.
No way. Because I guarantee you, I've known with my kids, there's plenty of, God, not again, Dad. But there will be a time when because what you're doing is you're embedding that into their subconscious.
Yep.
So we constantly have all these stuff. And again, when we talked about who you choose to hang around and spend more time, whether or not you're doing what they do, you absorb it subconsciously. Same with watching the news all the time, that stuff. So, like you said, the world's already pouring all this crap into you. So you're planting a seed that they're going to hear that, and then all of a sudden from somewhere, it's going to be like a muscle, like you said. It's going to come like, I'm a leader, I'm confident, I'm good. Hey, the more that they got planted in there, I say the better.
Yeah.
And it's been put over you. And then all of a sudden they're going to be like, Dad, I was like going through this thing and out of nowhere like that, it snapped me out, like that helped me. And they'll be like, thank you.
So it happened last year, brother. So
That's cool.
My youngest got bullied.
That's leadership.
It was cool, brother. So he kept getting bullied at school. And I said, well, what did he say? He's like, you're ugly, you're fat, it was ugly, fat, and like weak or something like that. But look, that's the real world,
It
right?
is the
It's
real
going to
world.
happen.
It's so when you see it as a parent.
It's tough. But
It
I
is,
said,
but you gotta
hey,
deal with
Trey,
it.
what happened? He goes, I'm none of those things. And he literally went, I'm confident, strong, intelligent, athletic, good looking, dynamic, popular, talented, independent boy with a growth mindset. He said it just like that. And the kid was like, he didn't know what to do. And I was
That's freaking amazing.
So proud of my boy.
That's cool.
And again, some people are going to hear this and think that's crazy. But
No way. No one listening to this show.
To your point,
That's leader. That's beautiful. That's not
have
crazy.
to-
That's a win.
We have
That's a win.
to. Yes, it is. You have to fill your subconscious with so much good stuff because so many things the world has given us is not. So anyway, though you asked for keys, that's
No,
one of the
I-
affirmations.
Well, no, I love it. And what is stop defining, okay, you're not the judge and the jury, just that's the other part of social media. That's just because you can text. Oh, cool. You can call someone crazy doesn't mean that you're what's crazy because it's not normal because
Right.
normal sucks. What's crazy because they're not teaching you this in school. You can memorize the periodic chart of elements, which unless you're a scientist, yeah, I'm glad we're still learning that.
I don't know any of that.
I don't remember any of that crap. That's crazy. They should. What if they had a class on memorize? I'm good looking. That would be insane. I would way rather. That's a tool everyone is going to need for their whole life.
Yeah, brother. And
But
I'll give
it's crazy to learn. Crazy. I just got to finish my point.
Yeah,
on this.
yeah. I'm sorry. Go for it.
Crazy to me is everyone has to learn the periodic chart of elements. Why? That's crazy. Why?
Oh, brother.
Why?
We have an entire year-long episode on education reform.
We'll do a series.
Oh my gosh.
Let's note that. No, really. Let's do like a follow-up series. I'm
There's-
writing a note.
There's
I'm not
so
kidding.
much, brother. I'm with it because of what you just said. It's so true. Let me give you another example. You asked for another one for people that deal with maybe anxiety or things come up. Basic breathing techniques that the military uses, right? Navy SEALs, box breathing. They use that. It's amazing.
Let's explain. I do it. So I want
Okay.
I want you to coach. This is worth it. I promise. By the way, something else they should teach in a school.
1,000%.
Box breathing. I swear.
And it's so simple.
So, all right, say it's my first time. What do you do?
All right, Mark. So here's what we're going to do. I want you to close your eyes.
Okay, so right now you're listening, unless you're driving.
So don't close your eyes, please, if you're driving.
But if not, hey, when you're done driving, whatever, there'll be a time you get it. Close your eyes. I'm closing my eyes.
All right. I want you to breathe through your nose for 4 seconds.
So in.
Yep.
So
I want you to hold that for 4 seconds. I want you to breathe out for 4 seconds. And do nothing for 4 seconds. And then I'm going to have him repeat that. And I'm going to have you do that 2 or 3 times. Whatever is going on will now go away. So I had one of my closest friends say something really nasty about me. And it hurt, man, to hear somebody say. And so I went through anger. And you know how I got rid of it? I was driving actually when I heard it. And I did exactly what I just did with Mark. I breathed in for 4. I held for 4. I breathed out for 4. And nothing for 4. And if you do that 3 times, whatever thought was bothering you will ultimately go away. And that's just one small form of breathing. I do another form of breathing for alkalizing my body that I do every single day. But this stuff isn't taught unless you really dig, man. Unless you're like into Wim Hof or you know, like me, I'm obsessed with the Navy SEALs. I just think they're amazing. That's how you find this stuff. But it should be taught to our kids.
do you know what a wave just, I've never, so I do box breathing. I've never done it like live on a show like that.
Yeah.
You know, like say a guest is talking and I'm just like box breathing. But that just like a wave came and I came back also with like a whole new form of not only calmness just in the moment, but like clarity.
Yeah.
And when people think of this stuff sometime, they're like, yeah, meditation, but you're talking Navy SEALs that are like the badasses do this for a reason that are, look, we're in stressful situations all the time in life and leadership. where much is given, much is required. There's a reason why they teach this box breathing, because first of all, it's quick. Like you said, 3 or even 4 times you do that. And the way I do it, and I don't know if it's, but I do it too. I go in through my nose for 4 seconds and then hold for 4. And then I just slowly go out through my mouth for 4. And I'm kind of like, hold for 4. You repeat that cycle 3 or 4 times. Just that is enough to, that breathing helped me with my anxiety when I was in school so much. It doesn't make it totally go away.
Right.
But it helps when you're in a situation when you're like we're talking about, you're so in your head, your thoughts, everything. You're in a battle, you're fight or flight, you're a Navy SEAL, and they've got you pinned down. There's 3 guys surrounding you, you're hiding, they're about to kill you, and in your head you're like, oh my God. You stop and do that for 3 those 3 breaths.
Yeah,
you're
48
drowned.
seconds.
You're about to drown. You get a quick little wave of clarity that builds up, and it takes you out of that like toxicity that's just going to lead to complete fight or flight panic.
Yeah, and it's such a simple thing, right? And it's not, for those that are like, really, it does work. And like you said, it's not going to permanently go away. I do another exercise. If any fear comes up, I call it the 3 R's. So you get hit with fear, okay? First thing I want you to do is just recognize it. What am I afraid of? I'm afraid of, let's say it's public speaking. So I recognize that, and then I'll write it down. The second R is I'm going to release it. So I'm going to take that piece of paper, and I'm going to shred it. I'm going to eat it. I'm going to burn it. I'm going to release it from me, okay? And then the third thing, I'm going to react in total opposition. And just like we said earlier, just like courage, it's a muscle.
Yeah.
So whatever that fear is, and this works every single time if you just follow that quickly, recognize it and write it down, release it, react in opposition, and then all of a sudden, whatever that fear was, it goes away. I'm not saying it happens the first time.
Right.
It may take you 100 times, but at least you can conquer that fear for that one time.
Right.
And if you can do it once, then you can do it again and again and again.
Here's what's crazy, what I've learned in life. And also what I love, bringing it full circle back to our first conversation of keeping up with the Joneses in the right way. When someone is going to be real with you, you'll realize everyone battles stuff all the time, and it never goes away. You're never going to just arrive. And everything also is a skill.
No.
Yes, some people are born with more charisma or whatever, but it's still, confidence is a skill. I used to falsely think I can't do this because I wasn't born with that. I wasn't born like them. And everything, and learning that is, like you talked about, empowering. That is the most empowering thing to know. It's not about IQ. IQ doesn't measure perseverance. As a matter of fact, some of the smartest IQ people I've met have been some of the dumbest people, because they only can see things one way, because they've been so good at doing one thing a certain way that when it comes to critical thinking or problem solving or having this crazy vision, they get over analytical and they become their own worst enemy. And I'm like, they're like, wait, Mark, you were like the C average student in high school. Well, I was the straight A PhD C. Why am I working for you now? Now, they wouldn't ask that now because they wouldn't. We're on a unified mission. We have a kick butt team. Right. But because there's other skills that you learn, and they're all learned.
Well, that's why when Carol Dweck came out with Mindset, when that book hit, I mean, to me, that was the book I've been looking for forever, because she explained something that I didn't quite get. Because, again, I'm not the most talented at most things, but I will work at it and work at it and work at it. My older son, I talk about my kids all the time. My older son, you want to know what I learned from him? I learned true grit and work ethic. He is not the most talented tennis player, but he will be. He will be the number 1 player in the world if he stays injury-free, knock on wood. You know why? Because he wants it more. and he is not the most talented, not even close. And if he's sitting here, I've told him the same thing. But one thing that he has above anyone else that I've seen, he wants it, and he is willing to go work for it. And so whether he does or he doesn't, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It's the fact that I'm never going to tell him he can't.
Right.
Right. I've had so many parents that are like, be realistic. Screw you.
It's real sucks.
Yeah.
You can do anything that you're passionate about.
100%.
And when you're passionate, that means you'll outwork and do whatever it takes to do what it takes to get there. And this is why I've always had this show and had these real conversations, because of people watching. Like I said, the younger me would be seeing us and be like, I can't do that. I couldn't have. So I'm always like wanting other people, yes, you can. And then as I've had athletes on and like Kobe Bryant, I wish I could have, when he first came out, I thought, oh, this little punk, arrogant prick. Then I studied him more and more. Dude, that guy, you talk about, he worked, I don't know if you've watched like the real stories, he outworked. They would say they would come to practice, he would already be sweating, he would have already worked out for 3 hours. Then after, he would work harder. Same with Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I used to falsely think, well, he must be nice. He was born with the genetics. He had genetics, but he outworked everyone. So that there's a correlation there that you can see is the best of the best of the best, like the 1% of the 1%, because the NBA is the best.
Yep.
But then you're the best of the best, and other players would be like, wait, what? Like, why is Michael? I thought he was the best. Why is Kobe Bryant staying and working? Because he's the best, and he wants to keep getting better, and that's why.
Again, man, they never arrived. And you know what's crazy? Because Kobe, I didn't realize that greatness till the end of his career.
Yeah, me too.
And now in his death, you see all these stories of Mamba mentality and what it really stands for. He is a unicorn, or was a unicorn. He really was that person that he was weird. People didn't understand, how can you, at the level you're at, still wake up at 4 a.m. The day after he retired.
People thought he was
they did.
Like we said, crazy.
They did.
He was and know you, by the way. He was alone a lot because I'm an introvert a lot. People see me speaking, so they're like, oh, you must. No, I do that because I'm passionate to help. Then I need my alone time. But I know me. It depends on how you're wired.
Yep.
But also, be nice, be respectful. But anyway, go back with Kobe. Sorry.
No, so I mean, there's just so many stories that are just remarkable. And you're right. He was comfortable in who he was. I just wish I had recognized the greatness earlier, but those stories weren't coming out. He was the punk. The Colorado thing, remember?
Right. That's all. Here's another good lesson. Negativity is way more noisy than positivity, but that doesn't make it more relevant. Right. So the 10% of things that he did that were bad, like all of us can do, will do, have done, you hear 1,000 times more than the 90% of what we're talking about now, of what people really do. So that's why I like having this show, is not only does it give you hope to realize, whoa, I can do that. It's not magic. But the easy answer isn't, it doesn't happen overnight. But you also have to outwork and be willing to put that time in. But Kobe, the more I studied him, I'm like, holy, they were talking about like when he just got drafted when he was like 17 and signed, what was it, like a 25 million, whatever contract. And they're like, okay, let's go out. The first thing he went and did after that, he went to the gym.
Into the gym.
And freaking, at 17.
Brother,
I'm not going to lie. At 17, if I got 20 minutes, I was already getting in all kinds of trouble. I would have been with my friends doing all kinds of crazy. That's why he got to where he went right to the gym.
Brother, they used to go out.
We didn't hear that story though.
No, of course not. But now, again, in his death, you hear all these incredible things.
Right.
All the people he was giving back to. So, again, another whole show could be on this guy because he's remarkable. And he was clear on who he is, where he's going, why he's doing it.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, JM, we could do listen, everyone, we'll get, it's great because we live by each other. So we'll do more, let us know more topics. I am interested in even doing like a series just on real education and talking about, it's just the pros, just real talk like we're having.
Yep.
People have kids, stuff that works, like what you talked about, what you do with your son, stuff like that's awesome. And oh my gosh, there's so much we could get into. But I want everyone, you want to get the full story of Let's Go Win. I'm holding it up here to everyone checking it out on camera. I've got to know JM. I can tell you, I mean, you've listened to this podcast. I'm learning just like all of you with everyone that I meet. Like the book, I've had my company, there's always amazing stuff to learn. There's different levels. Let's Go Win, bestseller. The Keys to Living Your Best Life by JM Ryerson. Also, JM, this is found like everywhere, books like Amazon, everywhere, but is there somewhere you want people to go to like connect with you specifically also?
Any of the social media platforms, Let's Go Win 365. And then letsgowin.com. There's everything there. There's a bunch of free articles that I wrote. I guess the blog, they say all the blogs are like, it's only one blog, all the articles. Right. But anyway, there's free articles there, and just, yeah, man, reach out. I love connecting with human beings. I really, it fills my bucket when you get to hear different experiences. And so Let's Go Win 365, check it out. And the Let's Go Win podcast, which I'm so fired up. I'm about to have you on, brother.
Let's Go Win podcast.
So
getting into the podcast game. So everyone, check his podcast out. Subscribe to it. Look, show JM some love. Give him some ratings, some reviews. JM's, everyone, from over the years, I don't connect with people who aren't the genuine, real, authentic deal. And we've had conversations not on air. It's cool that we're neighbors. And if you were like one of those stuck up pricks, we wouldn't be doing a show. Like JM is just sitting here looking relaxed and chill. This guy is doing a lot, has done a lot, has all amazing things he could be sitting here bragging on, but he's humbly teaching the steps, the passion, the leadership. Now, something that I want to ask you is, and if there's anything else you want to hit before we're done too, but something that is like you said, you always start off with meeting with your team members and stuff and ask, and it's funny because we do this at our monthly all dream team meetings. Like, what's your win? So I want to ask you, my man, what is your win for this week or for today, or your recent win?
Well, I have so many. This morning, being on the show, I feel very blessed and grateful because
if he didn't say that, I was gonna cut the show. No, I'm just joking.
No, I mean, honestly, how blessed are we when you get to meet a like-minded human being and you genuinely get to connect? So that's a huge win. One of my best buds flew in from Colorado last night, and I was able to play pickleball with him.
What part?
What's that? He's in Centennial.
What?
Just outside of Denver.
Okay. I went to school for Collins. All right,
you
go
did?
ahead. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So John flew in, and I had an amazing conversation with him last night. I got to watch my boy compete in tennis, my boy compete in baseball. I mean, there's just so many blessings and wins, brother. But those are the ones immediately off the top of my head. It's been an amazing day and couple days. So
I love it.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So let's go win, everyone. Listen, my man JM is the real deal. Check it out. Check the book out. It's also on Audible. I'm listening to it right now. Follow his show. I'm honored to get to be on it. And never settle, never give up, and keep elevating beyond. Now I will see. We're still on air. All right. See you later, everyone. Just bear with me as I